What's up, everyone? Welcome to this mental game bundle. I'm here to help you build your mental game foundation, to help you perform at your best, to help you realize your full potential, and also be satisfied throughout the process. So before we begin, I thought I would tell you a little bit about myself, my journey, and what led me to be here today. So I've always been involved in highly competitive contexts throughout my life. So it could be sports, poker, and most recently esports. I've always enjoyed the competitive aspects of these three performance contexts. I think what I enjoy the most, and specifically about the mental game, is putting in the hours, assembling the puzzle pieces together, and then testing out my hypotheses on the field. So even in poker, when I was just trying to figure out or develop some strategies, I always enjoyed the study part and the assembling the puzzle pieces together part. And so I've played poker for 4 years, which led to a victory in the Sunday Million near the end of my short career. And that journey was filled with a lot of obstacles and setbacks, some small successes along the way, but most importantly, no major failures. And what I mean by failure is that I never got to a point where I had to pack my bags and give up on poker. So a setback is not a failure, it's just an opportunity to learn something new about my game. And I think that's an accomplishment on its own, just surviving the brutality of poker. And so when I first started, I had a clear plan to grind sit and goes, move up, reach Supernova Elite at the time. And of course, I had underestimated the amount of work, the amount of discipline required to reach that point, while also underestimating how much variance could impact my progress. So in terms of setbacks, I almost went broke, almost. However, I had the ability to clearly and honestly assess my skills in poker, which allowed me to make adjustments to my plan, slightly changing the direction of my goals from playing high variance sit and goes and reaching a high supernova status to playing more profitable games and diving into MTTs. And so the reason why I'm mentioning this is because it's important to have a plan, to know where you're heading in your journey, and also be aware of your own skills and abilities. But I think it's even more important to be flexible with your plan and to adjust as you progress towards your goals. So the more you understand yourself and what is required for you to perform, the better you will be at making adjustments to your plan. Let me say that again. The more you understand yourself and what is required for you to perform, the better you'll be at making adjustments to your plan. And that's a reason why this mental game course was made. Now let's look at how I developed an interest for the mental game of poker, the psychology behind making good decisions, dealing with emotions, downswings, and basically understanding why we act the way we do. So when I took a moment to reflect on my own childhood and how I grew up, I was able to kind of understand a lot about my journey and what got me to where I am today. So that's something that you can also do on your end. Reflect back on your childhood, on your journey, how you grew up, and maybe you'll get to understand a little bit more about yourself. So on my end, I was more of an introvert. I was shy, I had little confidence, so I wasn't very involved in social context. And because I had a hard time connecting with people, I spent most of my time observing people, reading people, understanding their motives, and looking at situations from an external point of view. And so you probably know where I'm going with this, but what was once one of my biggest weaknesses actually forced me to develop a specific set of skills that happens to be very useful to me today. So being able to read people, understand people, connecting with them. And so this really helped me both in poker when I was playing and in my job right now as a mental game coach. So basically after that, went back to school with the intention of learning more about the psychology of performance. So did my undergrad in psychology and a master's degree in mental performance. And just to wrap this up, I thought I would also share my 3 core values that guide my life and my coaching. So curiosity, my love of learning and discovering new concepts, putting the pieces together as well. The value or the importance of growth mindset, so my belief in my ability to grow and adapt to every situation that I face. And empathy, so a compassion for myself, a compassion for others as well, and this deep understanding of other people's experiences. So we'll get into more details about values when we get into that section of the course, but that's about it about myself. So about this bundle now. The bundle is divided in 3 sections. One on self-development, one on self-awareness, and one with recorded sessions with some of the BBZ coaches and some affiliates. And so the first section is all about your identity as a poker player. So here we want to paint a clear picture of where you're at in your journey so that it provides clarity to your situation. So who you are, what motivates you, so figuring out your purpose, identifying your values, your guiding principles, and also identifying your strengths or your skills. So you get a clarity of purpose, of meaning, of your beliefs, and of your values. And there are a lot of people who are thriving without mental skills training. So they have a high performance mindset without ever sitting with a mental performance or mental game coach. They built this mindset through how they were raised and the things that they overcame. So before we get into the mental skills required to perform in poker, we first want to identify what you are already equipped with. What have you done already to get to this point to overcome adversity? So what are your performance anchors? So in this first section, you'll be asked to develop your performance philosophy. So what will guide your poker journey? Then we get into the controllable elements of your performance, your fast. So here we will work on helping you recognize what are the important elements of your poker game, help you understand how these elements can influence positively and negatively your performance, and then providing enough tools and strategies for you to adapt in these situations. So 3 things here around self-awareness. We will strengthen your ability to better identify elements of your performance, to better understand how these elements impact your performance, and then better adjust these elements to your performance. The third section is focused on sessions with the BBZ coaches and affiliates. So the goal here is to bring more concreteness to these concepts and see how they apply to players in real life. So every individual is different. So how they will apply these mental game concepts might vary from one player to another. So you'll get to know their performance philosophy and how they think about the game, how they approach the game. And finally, we have this added bonus or special. We have this workbook to clearly identify and track your growth and progress. So this workbook will be the first iteration of who you are and what you aspire to. So that's your performance philosophy part. So you can always come back to those entries and reflect on how your sense of self, how your pursuit has evolved over time. And this workbook also provides many activities and exercise to help you reflect on and apply the concepts that will be presented in the bundle. So I thought it would be important to have this piece in the bundle as well so that you can actually reflect and try to apply these concepts to yourself and then try to bring that in your poker game. And so what to expect? Like by the end of this mental game bundle, my hopes are that you will have a better understanding of your purpose for why you play poker, a clarity of who you are as a poker player. You will have a better awareness of your general performance, a better awareness of your mental game leaks, a better awareness of what your A game looks like. Something mostly important, a better ability to access your knowledge and skills when playing. So having the tools and strategies to identify and regulate your performance. So in other words, you'll be better prepared to perform at your optimal level and adjust accordingly. So recognize, understand, adapt. And finally, I think it will simply make your poker journey much more satisfying and enjoyable. So there you have it. Jump into the next video and enjoy the journey ahead. Take care, guys.